Now, when we talk about coding agents, the first thing that comes to mind is Claude Code. But Mistral has now released a very similar product, which is called Mistral Vibe. Well, it's a coding agent that can live in your terminal or in your favorite IDE. Especially if you're working with Visual Studio Code, I think this will be a great option, and it's also cheaper. So let me show you how it works. You can just install it from extensions if you're a regular user. For me, it's already installed here. Yeah, you can just type in Mistral Vibe. So you need to install this Mistral Vibe VS Code, and once you install it, you will see in a tab here. Here you can go and start typing your context, and you can see how it works. Now let us start a project, and it's the same like any other IDE. To add file names or context, you can use @. Here you can also give some settings. The first setting is here it uses the best model Mistral Medium 3.5, but I think you can also use Devstral because Devstral has been specifically designed for coding. And this is the thinking, so the different levels of thinking. I think the higher level of thinking you use, the more it consumes the tokens, but if that is what you want, you can just use that. And this is at context, so you can add files. So there are only 2 files in this project currently, so this is how you add the files. And the best thing about this is it's not completely agentic or completely human oriented. So there are different options that you can select. So you can select whether you want to accept edits automatically or auto approve all the tool executions, or you want to just get a plan, or by default it requires approval for tool execution. So it is a semi, so by default, it just approves all the tool executions. But this will definitely save you some time. But if you want more safety, then I think it's better you go for um, accept edits, where it will only approve the files that it will only approve the changes that happened in the code files, and not the tool executions. Tool executions, in the sense, sometimes the agent wants to read something in different folders. So if you don't want the agent to do that, or you want to monitor how it is done, it's best that you go with this default, or you if you it's best if you go with this default or just accept edits. So this will if you choose accept edits, it will also save you some time. You don't have to review the changes, and you can also check for any tool executions. But I would not suggest that you use code and you don't do any checking of the changes that are being done. I would suggest that you at least skim through the code and skim through the changes that have been done by the agent. And then there's this chat mode, so they've combined everything into one. So in the chat mode, it's only read-only conversational mode, where you just ask questions about the code base. It's great if you want to understand the code base and how it is structured, and the business logic and everything. So these are the options. So in this project, we will build a small RLHF reviewer. If you are aware of the RLHF technique, it's reinforcement learning with human feedback, where multiple responses from AI models will be presented to reviewers, and they rate it from 1 to 5. So that's what I want to build here. I'll just ask the agent to build it. So let's start with the UI. Um, so I will give the prompt as, so this is like very simple, so that's what I have asked it to do, and I will ask to build it in React and Node. That's all. I think this task is open-ended enough to test how this Mistral Vibe works. So it keeps asking if it can search in directories, or if it can like perform, or if it can add files and directories. So you can just click on this. I would not suggest click on always allow, but yeah, you can just, if you're ready, then you can click allow once or allow for remainder of this session. So let me say allow for remainder of this session. So you'll see failures sometimes, which is fine because the model or the agent, it will correct it itself. Sometimes it fails, sometimes it searches in the wrong places, so it fails, and yeah, but it will self heal. You see, let me try a different approach. So that's what it does. It keeps trying different approaches until it reaches the final correct approach. But if you want to guide it properly, then you can just click on pause and then just tell it to uh, search for the correct directories, and then you can just give the correct directory names and then ask it to generate all your files and everything. You can guide it more, or you can just leave it like this and just go to something else. So I came back after some time, and so you see how all the required files have been generated as per the structure of React, and all these files have been generated, and there's also a clear summary of what happened and also the project structure. So now what we can do is just the overview of whatever has been developed is also here. So now let's install all the packages and then run and see how this application looks like. So now let's install all the packages. If you want to see the code, you can just go to the file explorer and see all the components that have been created. So the index.js and for the rating, to hold the rating, and app.js. So you can make changes to the code here. And if you want to just use an agent, then again go back to Mistral. And so this is again the free version. And if you pay more, like if you go for the $15 per month package, then I think you can just leave long running tasks in the background and just focus on something else and come back and it will be ready. So this is what a Mistral Vibe is optimized for doing long running coding tasks. Like even in this situation, I was not monitoring it continuously, so I was away for 5 minutes, or like five so I was away for like 5 to 7 minutes, and it has built it while I was working on something else. It depends entirely on how much autonomy you want to give to the agent. So the packages have been installed. Now let us just run npm run dev. So there are some deprecated libraries. I think just for the testing purpose, we can ignore this. So yeah, the development server will start now. Right. So see, we finally have the output. So this it names it as our relative reviewer AI response reviewing platform, and you can evaluate AI responses by rating them from 1 to 5 stars. So there are some sample questions. So this is model A. So this is for the first response, and yeah, so so there are different responses for different prompts, and then you can submit your rating. I mean, of course, this is very basic, but still you can see that just with one vague prompt, which is what I want to emphasize, the prompt has been very vague. With one vague prompt, it has built a decent enough UI for us. So yeah, again, this was purely vibe coding. I haven't made any changes or haven't reviewed the code, but it is important that you check what libraries have been installed and how this works in more detail. Because if you see here, I mean, I've ignored some of the warnings, but there are some vulnerabilities, and there are happening. There are a lot of npm attacks happening these days, so it's very important that you check all the libraries that are being installed. So yeah, this is how Mistral Vibe works. So this is a very basic example. In the upcoming videos, we will see more about how different features can be used, like how we can do more long running tasks. So I will show you with a task that takes maybe more than an hour, and we will see along with the pro version. So yeah, thank you for watching.